Hello and welcome. Stand Up World, episode 57. Thank you so much for being here, listening, watching, zooming, streaming, beaming, whatever you're doing, however you're getting this. It's good to have you. It's a glorious week. We have a glorious show, a glorious guest. Say hello to Patrick Arnold, the producer, in on the midnight train from Boston. How are you, Patrick?
Hey, Mike, I'm good. How about
Yeah,
you, Rob? Yeah.
I'm good. I had a good weekend.
Yeah, you
You
did,
know,
I think. Yeah. How are your Lions doing?
my Lions, the Lions are doing great. I'm so happy for Detroit and the players and the team and the fans. I love Detroit. They're not really my Lions. Just so you know, I have no stock in the team. I'm a big Tiger fan. I will say I'm a fan, but they're not my Tigers. Over the years, I've never been a Lions fan because you grow up, you get beat the hell, dick teased, whipped, slammed. Oh, we're going to the playoffs. No, we're not, you knucklehead. You know we're not. I'm gonna just fart in your face. But these people stay right in there with the Lions. Yeah, I have some buddies, man. They're true fans. But I still, when people say it's, oh, my Lions, oh, my 49ers, I just want to go, they're not yours, okay? If anyone owns anyone in this situation, they own you. I mean, okay, they own you. They got you acting like an idiot, dressing up like a moron, freezing, being just goofy, spending all your money on tickets and paraphernalia. The only thing you own is the couch that you're sitting on all night watching replays of the game. You are not an owner in this situation. I hate to use the word slave in modern day territories, but that's who you are. They got you. Oh, my Lions. My,
Fair enough. I hate
I'm,
to
so-
ask.
I'm, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry. When you're painting your face in the freezing cold for the team, you got too much time on your hands.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, come on.
something in your life isn't working. Okay, they're filling a hole. Go paint an orphanage or something. I'm sorry, but I get it. And the other thing is, we're so cut up. Everyone's watching TV, YouTube, and social media, and like my mother. My mother is on Etsy. Is it Etsy? Etsy. She's on Etsy
Etsy.
all day.
Yep.
She's got a little shop on Etsy, and she loves what she does, and she's so good at it. And she's rarely off it. That's her thing. And like the other day, she said to me, she goes, Mike, I heard Trump says he wants to, if he's elected, his first day, he's going to ban all the circus clowns in America and make them go to another country. Every circus clown. I said, where did you hear that? She goes, I don't know. I was coming off Etsy and I saw a click on a Facebook thing, and then I just went to do the laundry. And that's it. And my mother's a smart woman, and but that's where they're at now. That's where we're at. We hear little snippets, and then I go, so you're gonna lose your circus clown, Mom? Do you have your favorite? Do you have your my circus clown? Is that Trump's gonna take away if he's elected? It's just we're just easily led to the pond that people want us to go to. That's my beef today, Patrick. But we got a great guest, someone who I think is super talented, a young comedy store comic who actually his special, Taylor Williamson, and his special is, and I didn't say Taylor Tomlinson. So if you guys think that I'm referring to Taylor Tomlinson and calling him a he, sorry. It's Taylor Williamson, who's a very talented guy. He's got a great special that he shot at the Comedy Store. And he's just got I love his style of comedy. It's kind of he kind of reminds me of like almost like a Jewish Nate Bargatze. I don't know why.
So funny. And that's so funny actually, because I was like the whole time I was watching a special, I thought his comedy is gentle. Not that it's funny, but it's just it's well received. And that's such a similar way I would describe Nate Bargatze. Is just like it's very easy.
Wait. You're saying not that it's funny? It's not funny to you?
No. Hilarious. I'm just saying
Okay.
it's gentle. You know what I mean? Like it's easily received.
Here's what you never want to do when you're talking about comedian. Not that he's funny, but
I said
especially when
he's not funny.
Yeah, you need that second not. You missed a knot there.
Sorry.
All right. Well, let's get him on. Let's get him. Hold on. Before we get him on, I just got to. Do you mind if I change real quick?
Sure. You cold?
I just got to. If we have a guest on, I want to be wearing my
Course.
sweatshirt from my Lions.
Of course.
Okay. Makes sense, right?
Right.
It's my
Pride and joy.
It's just they're everything to me.
Right.
They're just my Lions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Williamson. How are you, man? It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Can I tell you an honest thought I had about 5 minutes ago?
Yep. Sure.
You're like, no. I was considering not showing up.
That would be great. That would have been great.
Honestly, I think because it's kind of brilliant to not show up because it's kind of like not going to your. Because I watched the Sam Talent non-episode or the non-Sam Talent episode, and that's more interesting to me than if you had interviewed him.
I know.
Like watching you just like use a spiral and like he watched the whole thing. Like had to have Mike Binder just like go through the roller coaster of emotions on you. Like what a fun special. It's like going to your funeral and being there.
It was weird too because I don't even know the guy, but
I don't either.
But he was all excited about it and wanted to be on it, and then he just and he never called back or anything, and I sent him a note. Hey, no hard feelings, don't worry about it. And I just decided, fuck it, I'm not gonna dump a week. I'm gonna just have fun with this,
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
But so can we cut this part out and just peace?
No, but you know what would be funny?
Yeah.
We could start over, and we could say, and then say, oh man, Taylor didn't show. Another guy ghosted me. This is crazy. And then you just come in and I'm fucking with you. Sorry. I just had to.
I like that. Listen, we could I don't know. I'm happy to keep going. Whatever you want to do. You're
it's all
in charge.
good. It's all good. How about if we'll stop it now. We'll get in our cars. I'll find his address. We'll drive over to his house and we'll throw shit through the front window. And that way we'll get to meet him. We'll end up with friends with the guy. I guarantee it.
I love that.
Okay.
I love you're like, I love the guy. I get the shit on him for the next hour now.
Yeah. I do. I think he's really talented,
And I saw on your website, I'm like, because I love your website. I swear I'm not kissing your butt. Like my like Kardashians is like wrestling drama and comedy, stand-up comedy drama. And like, so your website is like Drudge Report for comedy. And I mean, that's a great compliment, And like,
it's really funny. I've been doing it now for like 2 years and I do it because I love it. And it's actually going somewhere really cool. But a lot of times I feel like I only have people on that I really love their stuff. I only want someone to come on who's got a special that I really loved, right? So it's hard to always be saying how great a special is, But then, truthfully, so I like drama like that with Sam, and also like every now and then I do hate a special, but I won't have it on the podcast, but I'll write about it. These guys, I forget what was the guys, the Netflix guys that 86 South, 86 South, or 80, yeah, something. And they just had a miserable special, and they're so fucking good, and they just threw it away, And I just trashed it, and I got all these emails and all this, took all this shit for it, But I was like, it was a big week for the podcast, for the website.
Right.
People like you say, drugs and wrestling, or people like drama.
Yeah. There's the wrestling guy. I grew up loving wrestling. This guy Eric Bischoff, and he wrote a book called Controversy Creates Cash or something like that.
That's right.
But that's what comedy is becoming. Not to get too into it, but it is confusing to me in this time period because I'm not that guy. It's interesting I love wrestling, but like people, like when you go on people's podcasts, this is my first like podcast tour. Like I've never put myself out there like this. I've been doing show business differently, seemingly the wrong way for a long time.
You've been playing the bingo nights, right?
But like I've been shopping shows and selling shows and getting a pilot, and then waiting 6 months for lawyers to do the stuff, and then 6 months to be told it's not going to go, and then 6 months of shopping it to other places because you have a good thing, and then 2 years later you have nothing to show for yourself, and doing that again, and then and so like, but this podcast world is wild to me because you do the show and you're goofy, whatever, but the clip that a lot of people post is the clickbaity, most out of context, oh my god, what is that clip? And like I did Bobby Lee's and Andrew Santino's Bad Friends podcast, and they warned me. They're like, Bobby's like, he told me what's happening. It's like, we're gonna be mean to you and bully, and that's the shtick, and so it's my fault for going on it, and I'm grateful to do it. I signed up for it. But the clip they posted was just Bobby just shaming me for losing my hair.
I saw that. That.
Everyone I know everyone in the world saw it. It's the most viral video I've ever had in my life.
For that little gutless Asian bastard to give you a hard time, I swear to God, I was going to drive over to his house and just shit on his lawn. But I decided, you know what? I like Bobby, but I took offense at it as a guy who's lost his hair. But
thank you.
You know what? Let little Yamasaki or Yamashama, whatever his real name is, have his clip out there about your hairline. God bless him. God bless little fucking midget Bobby Lee.
Well, so that's the thing, is like, I can retaliate. Like I got him in my own way, but in the clip they posted that went viral, they don't show me getting back at him. They just show me going, oh, okay, because that's my style. That I go back and I psychologically destroy. But I don't go there with all this stuff. But it's confusing. Anyways, it's a weird.
What'd you say to him? I'll post that.
Well, I posted on my Instagram,
okay.
But Taylor Comedy. But I'll send you the link. But like, I basically just explained to him his psychology and how he's not well. And
yeah, but listen, anybody that knows him and loves him knows he's not well, and he's never going to get well. But he's also a really big-hearted little guy.
Yeah.
I love him. I don't know if you saw the Comedy Store documentary I did.
I just watched.
I did the same shit to him. I'm sorry. I'm just as bad. He talked on and on about Mitzi, and he said all these beautiful things. And then I just cut to, yeah, I used to massage her. And I go, Bobby, you massaged Mitzi? That's creepy as shit. And every time I cut to Bobby, he was saying these weird things. So I did the same thing to him.
Can I tell you, I watched your documentary for the first time, like maybe 2 months ago, because I was very not happy to not be in it. So I was like, I don't know if this is going to be healthy for me to sit through 6 hours of a thing. just being like, why is that guy in it? Why is that person in it? What
Right,
is
right.
this? But I finally watched it, and it's beautiful, and it's like interesting. It's fascinating. It's
Thanks.
important. It could have used more half
Taylor
Jewish,
Williamson.
more Taylor Williamson.
Yeah.
Maybe
No.
my dog. She wasn't alive then, but you know.
Yeah, I'll tell you that was the funniest thing about that thing. I mean, the people that were mad at me for that thing not being in it, look, I worked on it for 2.5 years. Adam Egget produced it. A lot of it, Adam and I just decided who to, he turned me on to certain people and didn't turn me on to other people. A lot of people, I was sitting there, obviously people from my era that I knew, because the new era, I didn't know. I was kind of clueless. I had been gone for 20 years. And so sometimes I would just be sitting in the back of the room and I would catch somebody and I'd interview them, one time Adam went to leave and they were doing a roast for him. And I called him. I said, I want to roast you. And I hadn't been on stage in 28 years at the time. And I just bombed so bad, so bad. It was like crazy. Jeff Ross, who's a good friend of mine, said, well, that was the worst bomb I'd ever seen. But then I realized, first of all, I hadn't been on stage long, but I realized everybody in the audience were people that I didn't put in the documentary. It was just packed. I looked across from after I got off. I was like, oh my God, of course. This is everybody that didn't make the documentary. If they did that documentary and didn't put me in it, I'd fucking hate them too. I was not going to win, and then people that I did put in, I fucking blew Joe Rogan. He loved the episode he was in. The next episode, there was one little thing he didn't like, and he fucking hated me for it. So there was no winning.
Yeah.
No fucking. So I just said, okay, and that's the way life is. Some people are gonna love you, some people are gonna hate you, and there's not shit you can do about it.
Yeah. Well, you did a good job in that, and it's so cool. What are you working on now?
I know. By the way, I will say I know. I've since known that you're like a major fixture at the store, and that they love you there, and I think your work's fantastic. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
And I loved your special. I really.
Thank you.
That's why I wanted you to come on the podcast.
Thank you.
I loved. I thought it was shot beautifully. Who shot that?
That means the world to me. But I got this amazing director named Justin Slade McLean and this DP named Wojtek. Forgive me, I don't know his last name, but I'll find out right now. But
they did a good job. They did a good job, but you did a good job, and I love a main room set filmed. You just commanded the room, and you're right. You're not harsh. You're not swearing. But you're definitely in control the whole time you're on stage, making it's big laughs. And I thought it was great.
That means the world to me. I do want to say his name, Wojtek Kilar.
We're going to cut this out. We're going to cut this out, and I'm going to just talk about your hair right here. So
Jesus Christ.
That'll never make it.
Good Lord. Listen,
by the way, you got more hair than I do, buddy, so I can say anything I want.
That's fine. And I need to hear that. And thank you. Can I tell you, I was concerned because you started this thing saying like, I don't want to just have people whose specials I like on my thing. So I thought you were gonna be like, you're my first guest whose special I didn't like on the podcast.
I didn't say that. I said no. I don't. I only have people on here. I'm not going to have a guy on talk about his special that I don't like. I'm not that guy. I really, and I know drama sells, and I know, but I don't want to do that. Not with this podcast. This podcast is about lifting up the art of stand-up comedy. On my website is what I said. I want to destroy the art of stand-up. No, but I will.
But thank you.
No, I really did. I thought it was great, and I thought, I think people really need to see it.
Thank you. It's on youtube.com, a brand new website.
Oh, really?
Taylor Williamson Live at the Comedy Store is what it's titled, and
Well,
it's
we're gonna show clips and we're gonna put links up and everything. We're gonna.
so grateful. And then
But
Miss World,
tell us about this thing YouTube. Is that sound like it's gonna something gonna catch on? Maybe.
I don't think so, but I'm
No.
just trying something new.
Yeah.
What do you think about this self-release world? You're such a superstar veteran of this business. I mean, how many things have you sold and gone through all the nonsense, and then now that you can just put something out there, obviously money matters, but as a director, writer, producer, everything yourself, actor, comedian, like, do you do you see yourself ever just posting stuff online that I know you did Brian Holtzman's ridiculous amazing special, but do you see yourself doing more of that kind of stuff, like for
Yes.
film?
For film, I would love to one day. I don't think it's there yet. But I do think that that's where we're going, and I would love
Yeah.
that. I would love to make a little low budget comedy and just put it online and let the comedy world support it at $10 a piece, you know.
Yeah.
And I think someone's going to do that very soon. It's either going to be a big star who's going to do it, or some kid who's going to make a movie for $50,000 or $5,000, and it's going to be so good and so funny and so real that word of mouth is going to sell it all over the planet, and he's going to make $30 million, and everyone's going to dive in, you know.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet. But I love where the specials are, and I'm going to shoot a special in November of
Oh,
my
cool.
own stand up, you know, and I'm going to do it in Detroit at the Opera House in Detroit, and I'm just going to do it myself, and I'd be happy to just put it on the YouTube, you know.
Yeah. I learned a lot about it because I self finance this thing, and I looked into every opportunity that's available, and then I looked into every opportunity that I have, and like there was one streamer that gave me an offer, and I was just like, I'm going. It wasn't a big offer, obviously, but then it's a funny world where like as a state for where I'm at, 20 years in this business, like I was runner up on America's Got Talent, but that was years ago. And like I'm relaunching myself basically. Like this is my reintroducing myself to the business with my best piece of art I've ever done. So I'm very excited with where I'm at, but I'm looking for eyeballs right now more than a quick payday.
That's
And
right.
like, and I know people who take that you get a quick payday from a streamer and you get to be on a streamer. You get to tell people that you're on that. It sounds cool because I'm old brain. We're like, I want to be on TV and I want to be able to tell my mom I'm on this. Look at that. But like, there's some streamers that people go on and then it sounds cool. But like, I've talked to the people who've done it and they're like, no one knows my special exists. And I mean, then there's people like Shane Gillis and I mean, I Stavros. I know Ari Shafir just blew up on YouTube. Like, there's people who are like, their lives are changing more than if they had gone on Netflix. And
You're
anyway,
absolutely right. You're
so I
absolutely
just,
right.
and also like I'm going on like cool podcasts like yours. I'm like, I'd rather plug my thing and bet on myself than go on these podcasts and plug a streamer and say, please. Also, by the way, to ask someone, yeah, it's to to ask someone to buy a new streamer or streamer they don't have and pay $10 to watch my thing, but like other people's are free. It just seems, I don't know. It's all good. Like the self-release thing it's exciting to me, and it's a new world, and it's also internationally free overnight to everyone in the world, everyone on the planet. And now people have YouTube on their TVs. So it's like a few years ago, it seemed weird. It seemed like less than, but now it's
I watched it on my TV. I
yeah,
watched your special on a big screen.
yeah. Look at you.
You know, I mean, let me tell you, I totally agree with you 100%. And that's actually what this podcast is about, and I really do think, I don't, we call them specials, but I think they're albums, is what I think they are. I think comedians are now making albums. And, you know, you make a new album every year and a half, 2 years, whatever it takes to really create a new piece of work. But, and I do, you know, I will tell you, I knew I was talking to a guy who is a great comedian who's become very, very famous, and he just wanted a Netflix special so bad. And I spoke to Netflix about them. And, we don't want them. We don't want them. We don't want 'em." And I just kept pushing and pushing. It was a moment when I had a lot of stuff coming out on Netflix, and he's kind of got some taint to him. He was in some trouble, and they finally said, "Okay, we'll buy him. We'll make an offer to his agent." And the offer was really low money, which is this new thing they're doing, and then he can have it back in 2 years, which is, and I was like, okay, he should do that, but there's nothing in it for me because I work so hard on these things. When I every stand-up special I've done, I've looked at it like a movie, and I've been working on it almost full time for a year, And so I just said, go make it with one of your buddies, or and because he's really capable of that. And this guy made it, and it's a big Netflix special, but he didn't need it. By the time they gave it to him, he was already selling arenas.
Yeah.
So it was ridiculous. And certain people do need that in their head to say, I got a Netflix special.
Yeah.
Just like there were years where people just had to say they did the Tonight Show.
Right.
Because you weren't a real comedian unless you did the Tonight Show, or you're not a real comedian unless you did the Netflix. But I'm lucky just because I did the documentary and because I've always been a really entrepreneurial guy. I don't have any need to, now that I'm back doing stand-up, I don't have to check off any boxes. So the truth is, if I made, and when I make a special, I would probably rather just release it myself, so I owned it, so I can do whatever I want with it, and I controlled it. Because unless you're huge, nobody watches your Netflix special. They really don't.
You can be on Netflix, but that doesn't mean that they're going to promote it or give you a billboard or make the algorithm love you or anything.
I know another guy who's a great comedian, a guy I know, and I talked to Robbie Praw at Netflix about his special, and they ended up buying him a lot because of Bill Burr, But it was kind of like a quiet fart on Netflix.
Yeah.
Nobody. I don't think it's done much for other than his bragging rights.
Right.
Whereas, like you say, when Shane Gillis did a special, when Leanne Morgan did 3 specials, and eventually Netflix came to her.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Rife. So for me, you just have to do maybe 2 or 3 really great albums, and your audience will find you.
Yeah, that's the part that's this ever-changing business, and I know it's changed so many times since you started. I started 20 years ago at the tail end of.
I didn't realize you started that long ago. Wow.
Yeah, I started when I was 17.
Wow.
I took. Oh yeah. I took Sandy Seashore's comedy workshop. Rest in peace,
in
Sandy.
San Diego.
Yeah, I started in La Jolla. I'm from Del Mar, and but yeah, so I went to Just for Laughs when I was 20. I got some cool stuff when I was younger, and that was the tail end of, you get a development deal, and then first you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this, and even my generation was, you get on premium blend, and then you get a half hour, then you do an hour. These were rules that people just said that nothing, but those were that's kind of the trajectory, and it's where am I going with this? Oh, but the gatekeepers and stuff. Cat Williams did that ridiculous interview. It's just so fascinating. That's a 12-hour conversation about a 3-hour podcast. But he made a point that I thought about, which is so true. Is the gatekeepers now are no longer the industry, at least in stand-up. The gatekeepers now are comedians who have major podcasts. And I'm just I'm like, because I'm going through, I hate asking favors. It's very awkward. I hate asking a famous person for something. I'm so flattered and grateful to be on your thing. It's so awkward to say, can I do, you know what I mean? And, uh, and like, anyways, but like, those are like Joe Rogan is Johnny Carson now.
Yeah.
And so like you're Johnny, everyone said Johnny Carson at different levels. And it's like,
Yeah.
but it's fascinating. And, I don't know my point is, but this business is
No,
very
but listen,
confusing.
the truth is the business always changes and there's always some version of a gatekeeper, but it's never been as democratic and as we've never been as controlled. I wanted it my whole life to be like this. And I think this is why I came back to stand up, because I really dreamed about this world one day, that that hard work would just pay off and great work would pay off, and I could build my own little shop, and I did that with my movies, but I still always had to sell them to a studio or someone and get distribution. I made a movie once years ago with Alan Rickman and Janine Garofalo and myself and all this, and it went out and it went all these festivals, and it was really one of the best things I ever did, and I never got good distribution with it, But if I did something that good today for the price I did that at, with the names I had all these famous British comedians in it, made it for nothing. I could put that on YouTube
Yeah.
and make money,
Yeah.
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 And so it's changing. The world's changed. And I do think the interesting thing is that nobody is in competition with anybody else.
I say yes, and I mean there is like the positive attitude. We're not in a competition. I do feel like I am in a competition though in this business. Speaking matter of fact, like for where I'm at, where it's
You and
like,
Bobby Lee.
well, if we're competing to who can touch the roof of my bedroom the quickest, it's me. But
Yeah. Yeah.
more. He's not in my house right now, but
Yeah.
so that's another reason he can't get to my.
But by the way, if you get in who can make better chow mein, he's going to win every time.
That's the other problem. The problem I had with Bobby Lee is like I could just like I'm a comedian. We're trained to destroy someone in 7 seconds who's heckling us, whatever. So I can destroy him. Also, I know so much shit about everybody, but like I'm trying to be respectful. I don't want them to cut out what I have to say too. It's a very complicated power imbalance doing
Not
a
good
podcast
to
like
be
that.
respectful.
I know. Oh, but so I
Respectful's
do.
not funny.
But I wanted to ask you about this, like, because I do feel a tremendous amount of competition in this business, actually, because I'm competing for club dates, like I'm competing for representation, I'm competing for attention from my reps, competing for Netflix slots. Like Netflix was booked all of next year. Like I think I actually the whole like don't compare yourself. I have hurt my career, honestly. I think one of the mistakes I've made in my career is truly doing the positive thing of don't look at other people's work, focus on yourself. Don't look. I messed up. I had no idea what was going on in this podcast world. I had no idea that like I was at the Comedy Cellar and 6 months ago, and I was talking to Ryan Hamilton and this other comedian. I forget his name, and he's so special, so funny. I've known him for years. And I said to Ryan,
He ain't that special.
no, no, I know. I'm blanking. But like I said to Ryan, like, oh, like because Ryan sells out like in all over. He's a great comic. He sells out in Utah, especially because that's where he's from and stuff. And then I said to this guy, well, you can't sell out there. He's like, actually, I do sell out theaters. I'm like, oh, okay. And I look up, he has 1 million followers. I'm like, everyone's randomly famous now, and everyone just has their own thing. And anyways, but this is the point question I want to ask you is like, so before COVID, before Instagram Reels and TikTok and everyone's doing stand up, there's probably like a few thousand like comedians. Like you would go to every city and you go, oh, those are the guys in Indianapolis, and those are the guys in Austin, whatever. Like there's probably 10 major or 3 to 10 major people every city, whatever. now there's tens of thousands of comedians, people who identify as comedian, and like, uh, what's my question? Is to you, like when you were in like stand up in the '80s, like
Let me
how?
tell. Let me. I was looking at this guy yesterday. Look at when I started. I started in 1975, 76. I was a 17-year-old kid, you know. But but and who's that kid? Where's that kid? I say this guy from Colorado. Never even heard of him, and he's got like podcasts, and he's like legendary. If you once you start following him down the track, really funny, good looking guy. He's been around a long time, and
I'm
he's
right here,
on.
buddy.
Yeah, no. Listen, you could say the same thing about you. If you don't know about you, you find you and you go, "Oh, look at you! Look at this guy. He's been around forever. He's." But
Handsome.
that look, you could have said the same thing about musicians and bands forever about that, like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's
But
just comedians. When I started, I guarantee you, when I was really into the comedy world after a few years, I knew about every comedian working in America.
that's what I'm
There
saying.
was
There was like,
it was a small group. I bet it wasn't more than 200 people.
isn't that wild? Like, was it your documentary or someone else? I saw someone talk about Mitzi saying Mitzi Short talk about gatekeepers. It was like her and Bud Friedman, maybe
Yeah,
Bob Fisher, like So like it was like a Mitzi liked you, became a comedian. If she didn't like you, you found another career path. And
but that's not
like,
true. That people have
tell
said
me,
that. That's not true. There were people that came out to the. I got very lucky. The first time Mitzi saw me, she made me a regular, gave me a job, and I will say Mitzi skipped the line for me, saved me 7 years in this town, in this business. Some people came out. Mitzi didn't like it. Mitzi, they hung out, and they said, "Fuck, I'll just quit the business because I can't get Mitzi to like me." But so many people I know went and said, "Fuck Mitzi, fuck Bud. I'm going to go to Minneapolis and play clubs. I'm going to go, all the guys, Jeff Foxworthy and
Didn't Seinfeld famously have like she didn't like
Seinfeld,
Seinfeld? Yeah.
Seinfeld. But they just, I mean, it goes on and on and on. But some of them held that penny up to their eye, and it was a giant copper brown thing, and some of them just said it's just a fucking nightclub, and they moved on, and
yeah,
they did better. And I
yeah,
feel that way now. There's no way in hell I'm going on Joe Rogan. Okay, I don't know what it is. Joe Rogan doesn't like me.
yeah,
We were friends, and then he hated me.
yeah,
I don't give a fuck. I
yeah.
don't give a fuck. It's. I think he's great. He's fine, but I'm not gonna smell his farts for a living. I'm not gonna hang out in the lobby of his club and wait for. There's too many other roads to the center of town, and and
Yeah,
and people that don't think that way stay in the parking lot of a club waiting for something to change. And people that realize that what it is. There's a guy that I know that I'm really good friends with named Jimmy Shin. Okay. And I don't think Jimmy Shin's a regular at the Comedy Store or the Improv, whatever, but he works more. He gets more stage time than any comic I know. He he's doing better than any comic I know. He 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 produces shows in LA like crazy, produces his own shows. He goes around the country producing shows and can sell them out. He's got a Netflix show coming out. He just like he doesn't take no for an A. He just goes, okay, they don't want me. I'll find another room and I'll produce my own night there. And that's to me, if I were on a panel and some comedian asked me how to get started, I would say try to get in any room, and if any room doesn't want you, cross them off the list and go to the next one. Don't ever let anybody be a door stopper for you.
That's great advice. I mean, it's like dating, but I'm being reminded of this, like reaching out to podcast stuff and like always ask. We're all gonna die one day. If you're proud of what you have to offer, reach out, share it with somebody. But there, people are also allowed to not want to have you on their thing, and like I have to give myself that pep talk of like, okay, that person didn't write back to me.
Of
I can write
course.
them. I can write back in 2 months, but they don't have to want me on. And like, it's very, you got to just have a healthy self-esteem and self-worth and ego, and hold on tight to the positives, hold on tight to the compliments from special people, and remember who you are. And not everyone's gonna be liked by everybody. And it's interesting even hearing about the comedians who like Johnny Carson hated and wouldn't let on, or Letterman didn't want to have on, or
Look,
whatever.
and by the same token, the way because I've been rejected so much in my career, you know,
Yeah,
but and I'm not going to say that rejection doesn't hurt me anymore, because it does. But the reason I find it only hurts me when I'm not doing new stuff, when I'm not writing new material, or I don't have a new project, or I'm not going out trying to reach out to other clubs or producing shows, or this podcast. I love it. I just love it. I love doing it. I do it every week. I just find it to be a way that makes it feel not like, I have trouble at the Comedy Store. To me, that should be the one room that lets me on and gives me all the spots that I could get. I've done everything Peter Shore ever asked me to do, and he treats me like shit. But I
yeah,
go, okay, that's fine. It's fine. I'm
yeah.
I'm okay with it. I mosey down the road, and when he wants me back, I'll go back. But I don't. I like to keep busy,
Yeah.
so I don't feel that pain. And I think a lot of comics that I run into and I meet, that sitting at the Improv, or they just love to just wallow in who's not booking them, you
Right.
know, rather than what they should be doing to move on to something else.
And exactly. And the other thing I've learned from this business too is like, I've been like, representation wise, I've been with like the biggest reps, and then I've had nothing going on. Can I tell you the most successful I've ever been is when I worked my ass off when I had no representation a few years ago. And I had 3 shows in development with different production companies, and one I sold to a network at the
That's
same
great.
time. Like, and that's without reps. And it's like, I it's grass is greener. I don't know. It's and like, I mean, I'm past the clubs that don't book me, Like, so I can
Yeah.
say I'm past, but they don't book me. And like, I mean, one of these clubs in town just got a new booker who told me a few years ago he sees me as a writer more than a stand-up. And like, he's like a failed comedian who doesn't like was bitter and didn't like me because I was 17 and he's 10 years older. I know you experienced this in your life, I'm sure, as a young comic guy, and like now he's booking a club. I'm like, I laughed when I heard that he's booked. I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna work there. But he's gonna get fired in 3 months or 6 months, and there's gonna be a new person, and the journey is goofy. It's a goofy journey.
It's a
So like,
goofy journey. It's a goofy journey, but I like it. I like it good and bad. I really do. I really I tell you, I walked away from it for a lot of years. I came back. It's no different. It's the same thing.
really,
It's the same
really,
fucked up people, all trying to fucking get to the top of some place that there's no top to, And it's okay. It's okay. You win by just figuring out a way to vibrate your own happiness. And I know that sounds la 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 la,
no, it's
but
wonderful.
you
And
know,
what is
and
what? But also, you have to, because you like comparing and wanting whatever. It's like it's never ending, because like, I started off wanting to be a big comedian, a great comedian. And to me, that was like, I don't know, like Seinfeld, say someone who sells out a few thousand tickets in theaters around the country. That'd be so amazing. But now people are doing arenas. And like, so like, so if you do theaters, I want to sell
hey,
at comedy
Taylor,
clubs.
I recently worked for quite a few years with one of the biggest comedians out there, selling arenas and doing everything what everyone wants to do, and a great comedian. He's the most unhappy fucker I've ever met in my life. He's
Yeah.
just miserable. And I swear to God, just the most miserable prick I've ever met. And it's sad. You just want to
Yeah.
constantly go, why do you need to always hate something and someone and be this upset?
Yeah.
And you know, I've seen that my whole career. I've seen guys just make it so big and be so unhappy. And you know, that's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Can I tell you that's what I got? That's one of the best role models I've had in my career were being like 18, 19, hanging out at the improv bar late at night and seeing these rich, famous, very successful, sad motherfuckers. Like they're not just sad, but they're like mean, some of them, you know?
It's
And
amazing. It's
bullies. And
amazing.
like,
And the opposite side of that is, you know, Adam Sandler. I did a movie with him. I've known him. He's been a good friend of mine for years. He's one of I can't tell you. People at one time as a joke, not as a joke, really honestly, he said to me, he goes, we're doing this movie, Rain Over Me. He goes, hey, Binder, have you ever met an A-list superstar as easy to work with as I am? You know, it was just, it was just so funny thing to say, but it's true. Because he's so happy. He's just a happy guy. He loves his family. He loves his friends. He loves his work. He's not looking to make enemies. He's not looking for trouble, you know.
I love that.
He's just a fucking sweet person. And everybody in it, he's got so many good, tight, real friends, you know. And so it's not everybody. It's just, you know, you got to really figure out what makes how to be happy. And everything else comes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I think it.
I love that. That's great wisdom. Like I used to love hearing, like when I go to comedy clubs, or I remember doing college, just being like, "Who's a jerk?" Like people, because you hanging out with the college kids who got picked up, whoever. And now I love hearing who's nice. That's my question I ask, not who's mean to the wait staff. Who's the nicest comic and who's kind and. Yeah, man, it's weird. And I do think one of the problems with this, I don't like this social media thing. It is more democratic, it is more fair, but I think it's worse for art. I think not that it was fair before, from my perspective, and you tell me, but there's a lot of like hustler motherfuckers who are succeeding that are not great artists. Not that it was always great artists who got to the top, but there's a lot of these people. I said to somebody, like, what would all these like influencer people like be doing? Like these people, like if there wasn't social media, like someone said they would be on the sidewalk with a trench coat with like fake Rolexes, like in their jacket. And I think there's a lot of comedians who are like that. It's a lot of douchebags that are like kind of thriving, and they're the gatekeepers now. And it's like,
I think a lot of them would be agents.
Yeah, I mean, you're being sincere. Yeah, like, yeah, it's like that mentality, and it's, I don't know. I mean, there's room for everybody, truly, but like, it's weird because like I have this style that I'm really proud of, and I love where I'm at and what I put out there and stuff, and like, but like Mark Maron calls them meatheads, the meatheads, but people. Can I tell you this? I was watching this interview. Dr. Drew was interviewing this guy who's like he's a psychopath. Like he's literally, his job is to analyze people's brains and stuff. Then he did his brain scan on himself, and he found out he's a psychopath, and he does TED Talks and stuff. And he went through the list of, they're talking about Vladimir Putin and like this characteristics of a psychopath. And I'm not using hyperbole. Like there was like 10 characteristics. Those characteristics define perfectly many people we know with major podcasts and comedians who are selling out, whatever. Like they're leaders, and people, they're cult leaders. The way comedians treat them when they're around them and stuff, and like and then the way that people talk about them when they're behind their back, but like, I don't know, and the way that people like worship them, and it's
well, I'll tell you one of the things, like, and I don't think he even realized it till he was gone, but Bob Saget, who was one of my best friends for years, everybody loved Bob because Bob was so sweet to everybody. And he was so neurotic, and he drove the people that really knew him. He drove us crazy. but he was so neurotic. But his neurosis, he loved being nice to people and nice to people in comedy. He hated to hurt anybody's feelings. He wanted to be big. But he never wanted to have any win at anybody else's expense. And Jeff Ross is very similar to that. Jeff Ross is a guy who is funny to think too, because he's such a cut down artist. That's what I think is a key thing. There are some guys that are just sharks that they're going to make it. And if I got to fucking take a few people out on the way, that's just business. And then there's some people that are just, I don't want to hurt anybody. I want to help as many people as I can. And you'll find those are the happy people. And sometimes they get really successful. Sometimes they don't, sometimes that's not the right energy.
Yeah.
But I've known a few of them that are like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think kindness is the way to go for me. But I think I would say that the people I know, several people I know who have become superstars are maybe sociopaths who step on people with aggressive stomps along the way. And
I thought you were saying, when you were saying that thing about the guy that had ticked all the boxes for psychopath, there was a guy the other night on 60 Minutes. They were interviewing this guy, and this older guy, he basically has figured out the cure for Alzheimer's. And I'm just watching, I'm thinking, fuck, let's hope this guy doesn't get Alzheimer's, before he writes it down or something.
Yeah.
This is the one guy, oh, please get a good assistant.
Can I tell you, can I kiss your butt for a second here? I'm sure you're fine with that.
Yeah, that's all right.
So I looked you up a few days ago, and I know I've seen a bunch of your movies. You're great, and I've watched your stand up, and you're so special. And I haven't seen your recent stuff, but your HBO special stuff, and I'm so excited you're back, and I want to see your new stuff. And but I didn't know you did Blank Man.
Yeah.
Do people?
It's the only thing I ever did that I didn't write. It wasn't my movie.
I'm looking at your audience. He directed Blank Man. That's a movie that my mom would rent from Video Vault for me all the time. And it's one of those movies that I'm 8 years old watching Blank Man, and it's not for kids, but it was not offensive. It was the jokes that I get. It was so physical and so silly. And I don't think 8-year-old Jewish Taylor was the target demographic. But it's funny, so funny to me. And as an adult, it hits. There's so many different jokes. Kind of like when I watch Ghostbusters again as an adult. I love that as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, oh, this is a brilliant comedy. And for Blank Man, what is special?
Yeah, it's really nice of you to say that. And I'll tell you, it's interesting too, kind of on what we're talking about, because on two levels. One, that movie bombed and it killed my career for 3 years.
Really?
I mean, it killed my career. Killed it. And I was really hot I'd come off another movie, and everybody wanted me to, they thought, oh, this guy's going to be a comedian, to make comedies. And I could not get arrested. I didn't realize how one bad movie could just fuck you. And it tested so high, and the studio thought it was going to be such a big hit. And Damon was so hot at the time. And I had a movie out called Indian Summer. It was a summer camp movie, right? And I knew Damon from the beginning. I knew the clubs, and I always really got along well with him. And one night, the weekend my movie opened, I was hanging out at the theater, seeing how it played, right? And Damon walks out of the audience, And he said, "Hey, I love that." Is it like, it's just a movie you wouldn't think Damon would like. And he said, "Do you want to do a movie with me? I'm about to make a movie at Sony. I think you should direct it."
Wow.
And I said, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
And it was like a Batman spoof. And my agent at the time, I had a big agent at UTA, one of the partners, and he just said, "This will kill your career. You can't do this movie." He just had a movie open. It's #2 movie, 2 weeks in a row, and we're getting all kinds of offers for you and everything. And I said, "Why? I'm just helping a friend. It's like producing a friend's album. It's
Right.
his movie. If it goes bad, it's Damon that takes it." And then people called me up, "Damon's tough to work with. You don't want to do that." Never. We worked for a year on that movie. We laughed our asses off. We never had a tough word. It was testing so good. They spent so much money on this movie, and it came out and it bombed so bad. Like, it was like a huge bomb. And I didn't work for years. And over the years, it just grew as a cult movie, especially with Black audiences. I don't know about little Jewish guys. I get very few, but it was one of those things that taught me, in this modern world, everybody thinks the opening means something, but it doesn't. That movie has landed so well in the world. People like that movie. And the initial audience reaction that we got was the right audience reaction. The opening, they didn't market it well or whatever, who knows? But what the audience told us about how they felt about that movie, that has become the truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to realize that, even about a special or about your work, if your work is working, you will find your audience. You just have to stay with it. You just have to have faith and trust, and not hear, people like controversy. They like politics. They like you to swear. They like you to be clean. You can't do that. You have to just go, okay, this is working for me. I can feel it on stage. The audiences they like it. They come up to you afterwards, or they don't. When they don't, you know it. And I learned a lot about it from Blank Man. I really did.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, legit 30 years later, like, I mean, how many movies get made every year and then people don't remember them, Like, and then, by the way, if that was released on Netflix today, I don't know how this business works, who owns it or whatever. I guess Sony owns it, but like, that would blow up. That would blow up today. Like, David Allen Greer has just starred in the Christmas movie on Amazon, and like, Damon Wayans has a new show coming out, and like, you're in Jason Alexander, and like, I watched it the other day. I rewatched it the other day, like, and Chris Spencer's at the beginning. I was like, this is so cool.
And by the way, Damon Wayans Jr. plays him and his brother play the young guys
in the beginning.
And God, there's so many people. Robin Givens, but listen, that movie I did with Adam Sandler, Reign Over Me. That has had a life that I can't even believe the life that movie's had. So you just, the thing is, I really do feel that. I really do feel you have to, you made a really good special.
Thank you so much. That means the world.
No, you really did. But the problem is, now you just got to make another special. That's what you got to. That's what you got to focus on. And I will say this: the really greats. I worked with Bill Burr a lot for a while. And one thing about Bill Burr, man, the minute he finished one thing, he was just working on the next special, and he dropped everything and moved on. And he had this work ethic that I've rarely seen anyone have.
Yeah.
And it's just about going, okay, I did that. Now I want to do it again a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Like, like I want to, yeah, I need to start so my YouTube channel, I'm gonna start posting more, like maybe every 6 months do a crowd work special, or in 6 months do a crowd work special, then in 6 months put out another, or in a year put out a new special, like I don't know. I like I don't, and my special is 30 minutes long, and like I was like, do I do an hour? But I'm like, I'm self-releasing it and I'm trying to reintroduce myself to people. I'm old school. I want to put out an hour, but I'm like, that's my ego wanting to be cool to comics, let them know I'm a real comic. I want to introduce myself to new people. No one needs an hour of me,
I think you're
so
right.
and it's
I don't think people watch an hour anymore.
yeah, like I'm just like, let me put out a half hour. I'm gonna tour with a really my half hour of my best stuff. I'm on a big tour, TaylorWilliamson.com, all over the place. I'll do an hour of my new best stuff, and then maybe that's my system. And if I get an offer, I'm not planning on an offer from something. I
What
don't know.
kind of
I'm just
places do you play when you say you go on tour? Where are you going?
I was gonna arenas, small arenas, like
Small arenas. Right?
comedy clubs, comedy clubs, JCCs,
Well, but tell me some of your dates. I'm curious.
So I was just in Calgary at the Laugh Shop. That doesn't help. That was last week. Can I tell you, in negative 40-degree weather, I had one of the best attended weekends in the last 5 years. Negative
Wow.
40 degrees Canada. But that was insane because in
By
here
the
in
way,
LA.
so did the Lions, and
Right.
so did Donald Trump. Okay, so for some reason, shitty weather's been helping people.
Oh boy. Uh that's the cat that's who I want to be associated with, the Lions and Trump. Thank you.
And Trump, yeah.
So where am I going? I'm in Tampa area this weekend at Side Splitters Comedy
Oh,
Club.
that's great.
And then I'm going to Tempe at the at Tempe Improv, I think. And I don't have my calendar in front of me. Where am I going? San Diego American Comedy Company, Seattle,
Oh,
Tacoma.
I love that room. I love that room. The
It's a
American.
good room.
When are you there?
May, I think. I'm going
That's
to
a,
Arizona, Tacoma Comedy Club, Spokane Comedy Club, Oklahoma, Tulsa, and Oklahoma City comedy clubs. Somewhere in Keystone, Colorado, some small theater there.
Can I ask you something? I'm just curious about this.
Yeah.
Are you? And I listen. I don't. I'm really asking out of total curiosity because I think
Yeah.
what you're doing is great. But
Thank you.
do you find any like pressure at some of these clubs to be dirty?
Well, no, not at all. But I'm not squeaky clean, by the way. Like my special, I happen to not curse, but I said a bunch of terrible things in it, kind of,
Yeah,
and
you're
like I say,
edgy. You're edgy, but I don't find you to be dirty.
I'm not vulgar.
Yeah,
I'm not vulgar. Like vulgar is not my style. But then when I say something about making a girl wet, it's funnier because like, oh, he said that. And
yeah.
but that's I prefer more like I have another album called Laughter. I Hardly Know Her from 10 years ago that it's online. You can listen to it for free on Spotify and stuff, and you could buy it on iTunes if you want. But like, it's another hour where I think I said asshole once, maybe, but I say a bunch of innuendo. But I don't feel pressure to be dirty. But
I'm just wondering because someone told me that sometimes you get out in these clubs and they really want you to be dirty for the
who's that? The
audience.
crowd or the crowd or the
The
club?
crowd, yeah. The club owners kind of like dirtier comics. Actually, Patrick said it to me about all his clubs.
Well, that would explain a lot in my career then. I do feel that audiences are. I mean, listen, just look at the numbers. I mean, Patrick knows. I feel like from what I see, the comedians who are blowing up in the podcast stuff. I mean, a mutual friend of ours, Mike's boyfriend, just texted me saying, "You need to talk about your penis more," because he listens to these podcasts and like the podcasts that are blowing up it's vulgar. Talk about the time you went to a brothel and then you got 12 STDs, and talk about the time that you got, I don't know, just like debauchery. And I'm not judging, but like, it's funny. Like I was on Marin's podcast talking about this, like mostly joking, but a little bit. I'm like, I've never smoked weed before. Like,
Good for
Like,
you.
should I start doing drugs? Should I start doing cocaine, like, just for the story? Just like so I have stories to talk about in these podcasts, because a lot of these people are very unhealthy people. I'm not trying to be mean, like, out to our community that I love so much, but it's confusing to me because, like, I always like follow the rules, like, don't
Listen, I'll
drink
tell you something. It's funny you say this. I just have to say this.
please.
I get what it- I went and got some pizza with Dane Cook a week ago or so, and he was just telling me he had never done drugs or drank in his life,
Yeah.
and I just went, "What?" Because I'm 39 years sober. And I thought, you know, this guy is such a huge comedian, and it had the biggest, he kind of broke all this ground. And you would think this guy must have been fucked up on drugs and shit. But so that to me is it's a generalization. And I love to hear people that say I never did it, because when I started, I was just everybody did it, and I did it to the point where I got myself in too much trouble. And
Right.
then there's a group of comedians right now that I think they're funny as shit, but every time you see them on a podcast, they're talking about how fucked up they are, and all and all the debauchery, like you say. But you know, I really think it has nothing to do with. I started in an era where we all thought, unless you're fucked up, you can't be Lenny Bruce or Richard Pryor or George Carlin. It's part of the thing, but it's so not true. It's just so not true.
I had a comic give me that speech when I was like 19, hanging out. A really great comic, nice guy, but he's like, you don't know. He's telling me exactly what you're saying. Like, your brain can't go to these places unless you do this stuff. And I'm like,
That
but
was Pauly Shore, right?
exactly. But yeah, it is weird. Like these podcasts, people are drugging each other. They're peeing on each other. They're like it's like, but people they're spitting each other's mouths, like all this stuff. These are all I'm naming things that happen on the major podcasts, and I'm just like, can you just be really silly and goofy and funny and like, and you
But I
have to
would also
be.
say there's a lot of podcasts that they're not doing that on. I mean,
Are they popular though?
well, I don't think you see that on Theo Vaughn's podcast.
But you do see there's some goofy there's some Holocaust denying stuff, and I
Yeah,
don't know. There's some
yeah.
goofy there's a lot of like, I don't know. It's people going for views. I mean, I know the full context of that thing, and that wasn't fair what happened to them. But like, I don't know. I just want silly. Like, I miss the days of. I'm not even complaining. I'm just sharing, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to our community and stuff. But like, I miss like I wish I could. There was Bill Murray on David Letterman, Martin Short on late night shows. Like, I'm like, that's what I want it to be. Like, you go out there 10 minutes, you're the funniest bit ever, then you go home. But now people, you don't. I'm a vulnerable person, but I don't like. Why do we have to talk about all our? I don't know. But people want authenticity. I don't know. What do
Yeah,
I do, Mike?
but by the way, that's what I was asking you, because I've heard that the clubs that they want this crazy shit, and I'm like, because I don't work clean, but I also, I just, to me, I don't want to work any place that wants me to work any one way or the other.
Of
You know, I,
course.
I, I don't want a guy telling me to be clean or dirty. So I was just wondering if you had that. And as
But
far
I
as,
probably do. I probably do, because there's clubs that don't want me. I think they don't say it to me, but I think that happens.
well, that could be, and there's probably a lot of places that want clean comics, right?
But can I tell you what happened to me once at a great club? I'm not going to say where it is, but I had a feature act with me who happened to be gay, who's like a great stand up. And she brought, after I'm headlining, and I had a good weekend and no problems or cause, whatever. I think there's someone brought their kid to my show. This is after the America's Got Talent. I would do one show that was like 13 and up, but it's the exact same show. I say fuck and stuff, you know, but I had kid fans and I was like, bring your parents, PG-13. It's like Blank Man. You can bring your kid, but there's gonna be some stuff whatever. You're gonna hear some stuff. And one parent complained and they said they didn't like the guy talking about being gay. Like there was nothing vulgar. He just talked about who he is. And she told me, I don't think you should bring him on the road with you. And I spoke back to her a little bit respectfully. I was like, no, he's really funny. I don't know. This is weird, but thank you. And I haven't worked back there since. I don't know. So that's the only recent time I can think of being told, criticized for that kind of stuff. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah, no, I one time years ago, you mentioned that Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah.
Improv, when it first opened, I played it. I was headlining it, and Andrew Silverstein, who Dice, was my middle act.
Yeah.
He was my friend. He came and they fired him. They wanted to fire him in the middle because he was so dirty and this and whatever. And I was like, you can't fire him. You can't, you know, and just, he's my friend. And the opener was another Comedy Store guy. We all were friends. He just don't do that, you know. And I totally forgot about that. But apparently he said they never wanted to hire him, even when he made it big, really big, because he was so dirty. But you know, I just again, you go where the love is.
Yeah.
You go where the love is, you know. You just do what you do.
That's great. That's a great sentence for life.
And I think you got to keep reaching out and say, hey, I want to be on your podcast, or I want to play your club, and you can't let one no stop you from asking for another yes, you know.
And let me ask you this. I think the answer is probably yes, but like, you have so many wins in this business. Like your resume is so insanely wonderful, but that probably means you have more rejections than most people too,
That's
to have
right.
so many wins.
That's right. And that's what happened. You know, I mean, I just learned how to ask and be okay with no.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. Like this is the first time I've been really excited about my career in this business for me in many, many years. So it's really, I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm putting myself out there, and I have a show in development right now with a cool production company and special artists attached and stuff. And I'm just like, I've made all the mistakes you could possibly make, you know, and navigating the business part of this is still confusing to me, but I know what I'm doing on stage now, you know, and
well, you're at that sweet spot, that 20 years. It's not a cliche. You're at that sweet spot, you know?
Yeah, like I haven't figured out the social media game of it. Like, unfortunately, now this is what I was gonna say earlier. Is like the Netflix type stuff. Like there's not the people who are breaking stars now, or people are comedians. It seems like there's no more. Hey, I'm really special. I have a TV show, or I have a stand-up special. Will you please shine a light on it and use your network to show people who I am? No. They're going. They're like, oh, you have viewers. Same with comedy clubs, whatever.
Here's how I'm going to make it big, just so you know. You talk about. I'll give you a little social media tip.
Yeah,
I'm going to kill Sam Talent.
Oh, there you go.
I'm going to get so much viral shit out of that. I'm gonna kill him slowly in my basement, and I'm gonna do it in reels, and then eventually they'll find me. But I'll have been so blown up by then. I'll have a few specials out of it.
And this is great for me because when this video clips on World Star, I'm gonna be people will be like, "Who's that guy next to him?" And like, "Oh, Taylor Williamson. He's coming to Oklahoma this weekend."
No, it's not going to be so good for you because at the same time, I'm going to be leading clues that you're the one that killed him.
Oh, that's not good for my brand. That's not good for my brand. I'm not a dirty. I'm not.
I'm only talking about views. I'm not talking about good for anything. I'm talking about views. That's all I'm into right now.
Isn't it funny how like that Cat Williams did a crazy interview? It has like 50 million views. Like that's bigger than anything anyone could ever dream of doing in their career. Is having a fascinating, absurd, ridiculous call out, talking trash conversation
He's
with
comedy's annoying chipmunk. And it's working for him.
Yeah.
All right, listen, man. I'm gonna let you go. It's been great talking to you, and I hope your special does blow up because you did a really good job on it. And I also kudos to the director and the DP.
Thank
They
you.
made you and the Comedy Store look great. So
thank you. I'm so honored to be here and talk this crazy business with you. And I've been an admirer of you for a long time. And
let's do it again.
Yeah, brother. Thank you. Thank you all for watching my thing, and have a nice day.
and it's on the Comedy Store.
So Taylor Williamson live at the Comedy Store on YouTube. If you go to
isn't it on the Comedy Store's channel?
It's on my channel.
And the Comedy Store's, right?
Not on theirs. It's just on my channel, Taylor Williamson.
Oh, I thought it was on both.
No, but maybe one day. But
you better check and see, buddy.
I know. I talked to there's a whole legal conversation that was really fun I had with them, but very grateful to everyone at the Comedy Store who's watching this.
All right, good. Taylor Williamson channel on this thing called YouTube. Check it out.
Thank you so much.
Really great talking to you. Okay, that was fun. This guy's great. I had a good time. I think it's funny that he was gonna ghost me. Just go, look, Mike. Apparently, that's the thing that comedians like to do now is ghost you. So that would have been really funny.
Boy, yeah.
But he's great, and I hope people check out his special. And he reminds me a lot of me. I got to tell you, when I was a kid, you know, I think he's funnier than I was, but but. It was great. So check out his special on YouTube right here. Patrick, we'll put a link up. And I will say to you, I have some really good shows coming on. I'm at the Bourbon Room, January 30th with Matt Friend and a couple other really great acts. Jimmy Shin, of course. And February 10th, I'm at the Ice House with some buddies. Vinny Fastline is going to be on the show. Fraser Smith's going to be on the show. I've got some big surprise guests. Thank you very much for your support, for everything. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. And I love you. I really do. Thank you so much.